Okay, I got to give you another little tasty nugget here. So a little insight on this. So I was looking for something to watch, and I decided to go back onto Newcastle and look for those movies. And so this is like a late 70s kind of horror movie. So it's when they started having, ghost rape scenes in movies. After I was just talking about like this transition of how things went from one thing to Ozzy and Harriet to, Euphoria. Like, what? So, because it's not that far of a time, and it's very insidious how they do it. And so while I'm watching this show, there is a scene where somebody, fakes a suicide, makes it set up so somebody walks in, but it's not real. But I just was like, weird, because I wonder how many movies, if I went in and watched during this period of time, would there be something about suicide? And then look, shortly after, there was a huge rise in suicide. Weird. They put in more about violence in movies, and then all of a sudden we have more violence in our society. They give us they give us direction of how to move as a mindless collective, and we just move in that direction because it's in our programming. So see how it's all linked in together. The way that we move in this social realm, in this society, generation after generation, which is all these different soul lessons and all the different parts you get to play throughout these lessons. And then how all of this stuff is, well, everything is purging to the surface, but it's all just so related into like a soul learning about itself, a society learning about itself, an age representing certain lessons. Like, it's all just layers out, and it's all in how you decipher, this world of information. But there's so much of how they've directed us to move. It is like herding the cattle, and they've done it through the programming. And I just feel certain, if we went in and we compared to what was in the programming, like, everyone getting divorced, then you would see it would happen in society. And all of a sudden there would be a huge amount of divorce. Like, like there wasn't divorce. I mean, it was very, nobody was getting divorced when I was a kid, people stay in bad marriages forever. And then there was shows like Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda, all these strong, independent women, which even Gloria, I heard stuff about the Gloria Steinem and that whole movement. That was kind of like BLM coming in and taking over for Malcolm X or something. There was a movement of women who were wanting their independence, especially when you look at the old movies. I mean, they made like women were hysterical. They had no place but other than keep them confined in the home. People, they're crazy. Like, that was just the general consensus of the culture. And, the women who were the one group of women who, played their part in that, then they give birth to the ones who say, no, we don't want that anymore. And they break that system down. But that happens over and over and over and over. And that's why if you step back and you look, you see it play out over and over and over. Right now we're so focused, like this movement they have going and wanting this division from the older generations, because we have seen, like when I see some of this stuff, I'm seeing a huge, broad perspective of it. They're only seeing a little tiny window, and it's a very manipulated, calculated window. They've dressed it. And they want you to look at what they want you to look at in the window. So and that is one of the things why there's got so much about, killing off the old people. You can't have knowledge. How can you mess with generation after generation if there's people who have seen what's happening, if you can see what's going on? So, everything in our, cultural kind of progression, I think if we looked, once we had TVs, if we went in and looked, you would see that there was a huge amount of a certain kind of things in shows, like a lot of serial killer shows, right? We got all these serial killer shows. And then all of a sudden we have so many serial killers, so many people. They just want to know, what would it be like to kill somebody? It's like, you see how they're decaying, and that is taking the God particle away. You see how that works? That is where it comes to the battle with good and evil, is that particle of nature, the particle of self, your soul. They've figured out how to capture it. And I think 100% they know how to move it from one to another. And I really do. The more I think about it, with why these people think they can get away with so many of these crimes, is because they really, and we sit there like, they can't be human. They don't have a soul. Well, I think that they are some sort of clones. They are some sort of droids. I mean, just look at Zuckerberg. And then, have you seen more lifeless eyes in your life? Like, these people are some kind of droids or something. That's why they can do things that seem like they don't care about people, and they don't even think about life or whatever. I mean, if they are some sort of like Westworld, like that stuff is real. So I don't know if they're manufactured by the cabal to infiltrate into the general community, to be in control from the inside, because they've got all these controlling things on the outside, the tentacles of the beast, every infiltration into our life, our education, our how we make money, how we what we eat, where we go to get treatment when we're sick, what we think of as being sick. I mean, the stuff in commercials, that is so much direction of how to think, and you've always got the super pill there to save you. It is so, all of it is to control the conscious state of mind. And they do it all in this such a sneaky way. But I was really, when I was watching those shows, I was like, watching the black and white movies and then watching ones from the 70s, it's very, very different. Like, I don't know. There's so much that there was murder, and those movies, and, you can't trust anybody, and the weird stuff like, I don't know, they have a 45-year-old woman playing a 20-year-old lady or something. I don't know. It's weird, the stuff that they had in there. But when you start getting into the programming, like the part where, they're really showing, women are unstable. And then that became so part of our culture. So if it was so much about, these religious Christian men who, put their wives on a pedestal and treated them like partners, not like, the maid who was hysterical and she needs to be put out back if she's on her period, what was the real reality? Maybe it's just different for every single woman, because every single soul was coming in to play out different parts through the whole experience. But the whole thing where there was a period of time where, women seemed to be treated as equals, especially in tribes and stuff. But then there's like a switch over somehow that started being, that women were, had serious problems. Like, I even saw a movie, this was quite a while ago, but it was about the guy who invented the vibrator. It was some doctor, because women couldn't have orgasm. They couldn't enjoy sex. They couldn't have an orgasm. That would be like, ooh. cringy. So they would have to go to the doctor for their, hysteria release, and they'd use these vibrators. And this is true stuff. Like, this is where it was invented. And that is like what our culture, or what people were like back then. They went through a real serious part of sex being so dirty. And that is like the pendulum. Like, the pendulum's way over in the other direction now. Like, nobody wants to, they want to take the most fetish, crazy stuff and normalize it. Like, accept everything. That's what makes a good person. Just accept whatever. You want to do it with the horse? Oh, come on, bring them on. It's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like there has to be standards. We have to set standards. That doesn't mean that we have to control every other person. But there has to be parameters of what's okay and what's not. When you're normalizing serial killing, and to the point where you have people in the society who've now decided they just want to go test it out, go see what it's like, then, what are we doing as a group? There's so much to learn by the whole thing. But they're definitely, through the programming, there has been a direction that they have been taking society on purpose, and it has not been in a good place. They interrupt anything, any movement, like any women's movement, the suffragette or whatever, when women were going more for the rights. Like, look at the difference in the suffragette to the women's lib, Gloria Steinem. Like, why were they having to repeat it? Why were they having to do this stuff over and over and over? Like, why would women have to keep fighting for their rights? I think that these controlling things they come in. As any movement starts to move forward, they come in and they undermine it. They create their little 3-letter organizations and they misdirect. Just like when there started being people who were focused on being healthy and advocates for exercise and eating right and being in shape, then they came in and undermined it and then turned it into this toxic anorexia, not accepting people's bodies. You see what I mean? They turn things when there's movement in any direction. So, but there's so much in our programming that I think if we really started looking at it and noticing how it is they are directing, that's their electrical prod moving us into the corral they want us in. So everything is just about awareness, it's just taking notice. It's starting to pay attention, because if you're paying attention, they can't just direct you mindlessly. And like I said, they think that they've got it all in the contract, like we're doing this of our own free will because they've showed us. It's in the TV. That's why it's important for you to start looking at the TV as not entertainment, but as a written contract for these people. So anyways, just pay attention, open up your mind to going in and looking at some different kind of stuff that was what the movies were like at different time periods and different generations and stuff. It's a huge difference of like a party in the 50s for kids and a party in the 2020s for kids, No, so it's up to us to gain control back and move it the way we want. And that's why we need to pay attention. That's why this critical awakening has to occur. And that is why when it is us that will create the age of Aquarius. That's why I say you can't go into it carrying a bunch of baggage. It just won't work. It is us that create the world we want. So anyways, there was some more stuff I wanted to say. There was something else that I really wanted to, was something I think I said yesterday, and then all of a sudden it was like, I thought of something else about it. But I'm getting a call, it's really distracting me. So who knows, maybe I'll just be right back. No, they stopped because I talked too long. But, oh man, something just popped in too. It was like, oh, I gotta say that before I just I almost do a whole nother recording about it. I get in these things where I just keep coming on, and you know what else? You know what else? And some of the stuff I can't get it completely to say all of this stuff that I want to say about it, because it is so multi-level in everything that is going on. And you know, it's all micro macro, and it's all in perspective, and it's all in what you're noticing, and how and what you should be noticing, because your soul should be guiding you. You know, I mean, they've got people so consumed with fear that fear right now is guiding what they are focusing on, because they're so scared of what's going to happen. So they're, you know, consumed with that. But you know, at some point they'll see like it's a dead end street. You're running up an escalator or something, like it's just not getting anywhere. So anyways, I can't think of it, so I'll just go ahead and go. Maybe I'll be right back. I don't know. Talk to you later. Bye.